Saving $5,000 in the next 3 months might sound intense, but with right strategies and some discipline, that goal is actually within reach. So I'm going to break down exactly how much you need to save per month, per week to get to this $5,000 goal. And then we're going to walk through the strategies you need to employ over the next 90 days to actually hit that goal guaranteed. Hi, I'm Jacob Wade from Lunch Money. I'm a financial coach, and saving $5,000 can help you build a emergency fund to make sure that you don't have to go into debt if a financial emergency comes up. It can help you save for a large purchase, or it could just help you sleep better at night. But the faster you put money in the bank, the better you're going to feel about your financial situation. So today I want to break down the math, the strategies to save money, how to temporarily boost your income, and the steps you need to employ to actually put $5,000 in a savings account and let it stay there in the next 3 months. Let's get it. All right, with any big goal, I always advise people to just break it down into smaller, manageable chunks. So while saving $5,000 might sound crazy because maybe you haven't done it before, let's break it down into a number that makes a little more sense. So if you're going to do this in the next 3 months, if you're going to be aggressive about saving money, that's about $1,667 a month. Again, that still might seem like a high number, but let's say you get paid weekly. Let's break it down by week. Is this manageable? There's usually 4 weeks in a month that you get paid, maybe a fifth week sometimes, but let's just break it down into 4 sections. So if you save $417 a week, $417 per week, put that in a savings account, you will hit that $5,000. In fact, you have a little bit more than $5,000 in the next 3 months. Now, $417 to me sounds way more manageable than saving $5,000. So focus in and think about your weekly savings goal instead of a monthly or the 90-day savings goal. So now you know how much you need to save. You need to actually build that number into your budget. What's really cool about Lunch Money is we'll allow you to set a custom budget period where it's not just budgeting by the month. You can budget bi-weekly. You can even budget weekly. So what I would do is grab a free 30-day trial of the Lunch Money app. You can click below, connect your spending accounts, and we're going to set that right into your budget as $417 per week. You're going to budget per week, which means how much do you need to pay in bills, in groceries, shopping, and just break it down by week. And then make sure you just treat the savings goal as a bill. In fact, I would put the savings goal right at the top of your budget. So right after you get paid, that's the first thing you take care of, is transferring over $470 into a separate savings account. Now, you might be thinking, I don't have $417 a week to spare. I got to take care of some other things. I totally get that. So let's break down a couple of ways that you can find an extra few $100 in your budget every single month, and maybe $100 to $200 a week. So you might not have the full $417, but let's just find some existing money. Most budgets I've ever reviewed have existing money leaks. I typically help people save over $400 a month on average. And the best way to do this, number one, is to just look at your past spending. Do a financial audit on yourself. Now, here at Lunch Money, if you connect your financial accounts, we're going to show you your past data. We'll actually pull in your transaction history. We'll auto-categorize all of your spending, and we'll show you where your money has been disappearing to. What I've noticed is that most people's mental accounting of where they think the money is going is vastly different than where it actually goes. So look at the actual data. Go back 90 days in the past and find areas where maybe you're spending money on stuff that you've totally forgot about. Could be a subscription, could be spending for convenience. It could be a ton of things that you just don't realize the money is disappearing to, and $15 here, $30 there, $50 there could add up to hundreds of dollars per month of wasted money. So perform a financial audit, go through your details. The next thing you need to do is then start to challenge yourself on all of your regular spending. This includes your bills and your regular daily spending. What I mean by challenge yourself is to look at it with fresh eyes. Pretend you're sitting down with a friend and you're looking at all of their spending, and they're telling you, hey, I want to save $5,000 in the next 3 months. What would you tell them? You would ask them questions about each one of their spending categories. You would say, oh, looks like you spent $750 on groceries for just the two of you last month. Is that normal? Is there a way to still get groceries for the month and save some money there? Like, why did you spend that much? Or you see they have a bunch of subscription services, and you probably say, hey, do you use all of these? Can you maybe hit pause on most of these for the next 90 days so you can save some money? Or if you just see online shopping, Target, Amazon, Walmart, things like that, you might just ask, hey, are these necessary purchases? Are these just something you saw and you wanted and you bought it? Is that something you can also put on pause? So analyze it like you would be analyzing a friend's spending who tells you the number one goal is to save $5,000 and then just turn it back on yourself. Be honest. Are there areas where I can save money? So number one is just look at your fixed expenses. Most people think, well, my bills are my bills, I can't do anything about it. That is not true. There are all kinds of ways to lower your fixed expenses while still getting the same value out of these services. Now, things like your rent, outside of negotiating with your landlord maybe once a year, or even a mortgage outside of refinancing and rates are still high, those aren't too movable. But there's lots of other ways to negotiate lower bills, like your internet and even utility bills. There's ways to save money on that, and your insurance. I would say insurance is probably one of the quickest and easiest wins, where you can call your car insurance company and figure out, what you're paying and ask if they have better rates. If they don't, find 2 or 3 competitors, give them your coverage amounts. You want the same amount of coverage on your vehicle, and ask them if they have any good deals. I found one time that I moved from a popular insurance company to a little less popular insurance company, but the same amount of coverage. They're still reputable, and I was able to save $1,000 over the next 6 months just on that one change alone. And then pair that with things like telling your internet service provider, hey, I'm paying $75 a month, but your competitor has it for $40 for the same amount of speed. Do you want to match that price? If they don't, just move internet service providers. As long as it's reputable and reliable, you'll save real money. So do this with all of your bills. Cell phone bill, same thing. You can go to a prepaid plan if you need to. Subscription services, you can hit pause. A lot of them allow you to just suspend your service. You can bring them back in later if you can afford those things, but pause those things and just don't spend the money while you're trying to stack cash for the next 90 days. So challenge yourself, go through every single line item in your budget and try to find areas that you can save, at least temporarily, so you can start stacking cash. And one of these spending challenges you can do on yourself is called a no spend challenge. Now, I've got an entire video on the no spend challenge right here. It is probably the most bulletproof way to save a lot of money in a short period of time. Now, this is temporary. This isn't a lifestyle I would recommend to anybody, but that's why they call it a challenge, is to stop spending on anything that's non-essential for 30 days. I don't know if you should go the whole 90 days, but even just for 30 days can save you a huge chunk of money. And there's really only 6 things you need to spend money on. That's basically your housing, your utilities, your food, your transportation, your debt minimum payments, and insurance costs. Just make sure you have those things covered, and everything else you can hit pause on. That's subscription services, that's online shopping, that's major purchases. Just pause all of those things, if at all possible. Obviously, life comes up, but put those things on hold, and I bet you could find $500 to $1,000 a month to save. Now, if you want to really stretch this thing out and do it for the next 90 days, one, it's going to be mentally challenging, so you need to just make sure that you are mentally ready for this thing. And again, watch the video that I linked up there earlier to set yourself up for success in this. But if you can do it for 90 days, you could save thousands of dollars just doing that single no spend challenge alone. Combine that with negotiating down some of your fixed expenses, and you might even be able to save $5,000 on just those 2 changes alone. Or if you've performed a financial audit and you found areas of waste and you're starting to make some changes, finding ways to save money in your budget, there's only so much you can save. Sometimes you're still not going to have enough to save $1,600+ a month, or that $417 a week. So you're going to need to find some extra income. Again, this could be temporarily, or it could be a permanent side hustle that you employ, but you need to boost your income to make up the difference to get that full $5,000 saved in the next 90 days. So there's a couple ways to do this. One is just pick up a gig economy type job. So driving for DoorDash or Uber Eats, or driving for Uber, picking up something online, doing a little bit of freelance work, some type of side hustle income where you can work in off hours outside of your regular job and bring in income quickly. Now, this is not necessarily desirable, especially if you have a packed schedule or if you've got a family. It can sort of eat into your time. But again, if you're trying to aggressively save and hit this financial goal, that's part of the sacrifice you will need to make to do that. So you could earn, $200 to $500 a week doing side hustle jobs. Another thing you can also do outside of side hustle is you might be just literally living with cash and you don't know it. Turn items you don't use anymore into money using Facebook Marketplace or eBay. My wife and I did this one time. We made over $7,000 in 6 months just by selling stuff we didn't need anymore around the house, sitting in the garage, old kids' clothes and toys, things like that. So go through your garage. If you haven't touched the item in a year, you don't need it. Get rid of that stuff that is just weighing you down. The upside of that is also going to help you breathe a little better. You're going to have a little more space and elbow room in your house and in your garage, but you're also going to make cash at the same time. So find old items, get rid of those things. Just take a few pictures, a nice little description, Facebook Marketplace, or if it's something you don't mind shipping, or if it's like electronics, do something like eBay, and then you can get rid of that stuff and bring in potentially hundreds of dollars a month over the next 90 days. All right, so if you've looked at your finances, you found ways to save money, maybe you're doing that no spend challenge, you're really going after it, and then you do some side hustles or you sell some stuff you don't need, that could bring in an extra $1,000 a month between those two things right there. That's huge. Now, what you need to do is start making the money, get out of your checking account and into savings, because if it's not somewhere else, it's not real savings. Trust me, if you leave the money sitting in your checking account, you will find ways to offload that money to something else. It just happens. So what I like to do to guarantee that the savings stays savings is to automate the process. This is called a recurring transfer, and the idea is you, on a schedule, move money from that checking to your $5,000 goal fund, right? Set up a external high yield savings account somewhere outside of your normal bank, name it $5,000 goal, and then what you'll do is you set up a recurring transfer. So let's say the day after payday, you want to transfer over that $417 every single week. So the day after payday, you go in and you set up a transfer and you say, I want to do this every single week on Saturday. The day after I get paid, transfer $417 from my checking account to this savings account. This automates it, it makes it happen guaranteed, and it also forces you to live on less, right? So you get paid weekly, you move that money out, you got to live on what's left over. So it really does kind of bring things into focus. And again, if you're doing something like a no spend challenge, you should be able to fit within that budget, but it forces you to live on less and it guarantees the money sits somewhere else. All right, and then finally, you need to keep yourself accountable to this plan. Again, within Lunch Money, you can make it super simple. You can create a little savings category, you can label it 417, you can set up a weekly budget, and then you can actually move the money over and it will record within Lunch Money as a transfer. And you can go, yep, this is that $470 for my savings goal. Every single week, you should be checking in. How am I doing? Am I spending within the budget that I created based on my financial audit? Am I actually moving the money over into my savings account, right? You can track that savings account and its balance right within the Lunch Money app, but keep yourself accountable. Keep eyes on it. Again, if you're married or maybe you've got like an accountability partner that you want to share finances with, you can show them this and say, hey, check in with me. I want to make sure that we're on track to try to hit this financial goal. It's these small incremental steps that will build up to actually being able to save a large amount of money in a short amount of time. And then finally, you just need to kind of stay mentally committed to this. Think of it as a sprint. This is not the long-term wealth building marathon. This is, I need to save $5,000 fast. So as long as you know that, when it becomes challenging, because it will, when you think, oh man, like I need to spend money, but I really shouldn't, you're going to know, okay, this is temporary. This is a 90-day sprint. This is not forever. When you pause those subscriptions, when you say no to friends just for the next 90 days so you can save this money quickly, knowing that it is a sprint and not a long-term lifestyle is going to help you get through to the other side. Finally, once you get through and you actually put the $5,000 away, ignore it. Leave it alone. You can bring stuff back into your life. You can turn those subscriptions back on. You can, enjoy life a little bit more. You can stop the no spend challenge, but don't dip into that savings for anything. That is now either your emergency fund or again, you're saving for something else, but leave it there and then it stays savings. All right, here's a little bonus tip. When you've done 90 days of saving aggressively, saying no to things, and you actually put $5,000 away, you are going to realize what you are capable of. And you are capable of saving more money than you think, living on less than you think, and still having an enjoyable life. If you can stick to a cheaper budget, if you can continue doing that side hustle thing and the income starts to grow, now you can start to deploy your money in way more awesome ways, like investing and maxing out your Roth IRA or upping your 401k contributions at work and starting to build toward financial freedom, or saving up for a large vacation so you don't use the credit card and try to pay it off for the next year. You actually have the money before the vacation hits. You can take the discipline you learn over the next 90 days of saving $5,000 and apply it to the rest of your life. So take the lessons learned. Again, you don't have to deprive yourself forever, but you're just going to show yourself what you're capable of, and I guarantee you it's more than you think. Now that you know you can save $5,000, I dare you to try this challenge right here, where you can save $10,000 as fast as possible. I'm going to break it all down in this video if you click right here.